Manchester City take on Liverpool, and the Premier League is back, Rory. Now, this is the top two playing each other, ironically, going into the 12 games played now, and they're at the top two. They are the two teams that we're probably looking and going neck and neck for the title this season. Of course, you can't rule out or underestimate Arsenal, especially how brilliant they did last season. But Liverpool are the only ones in the last, 7-8 seasons that have interrupted the Manchester City party. Before that, it was you guys.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is the fixture. I think this is the one. I think over the course of the Premier League, there are established, entrenched rivalries, aren't there? Yeah. Arsenal and Tottenham will always be a rivalry. Manchester United and Liverpool will always be a rivalry. But then you get these sort of developing rivalries that matter for a moment. So Chelsea and Liverpool, when it was Mourinho versus Benitez, was a good one, for example. And I think at the moment, we are in the midst of one of the most significant. In a decade and a half's time, we will look back on Guardiola versus Klopp as one of the best rivalries that the Premier League has ever had, because it has a little bit of everything. I think the clubs, in terms of what the clubs represent, there's no love lost there. Do you remember, in fact, the start of this potentially was when, I remember when on Twitter there was a little bit of needle. It went out on the Manchester City Twitter page that they'd managed to secure a £400 million naming rights to their stadium. And the owner of Liverpool, that John W. Henry, quote tweeted it and basically went, "What was the second bid, mate?" That was the start of...
Yeah, I recall.
Do you remember?
That, yeah.
So it's there's obviously an issue with the way that the clubs perceive one another at boardroom level. The fans obviously have an antipathy towards one another. There's an entrenched rivalry, simply the cities, Manchester versus Liverpool, in terms of geographical rivalry. And then the players, the managers, it's just a fantastic period.
It is quite a fresh rivalry because of course, the Liverpool and Manchester rivalry has always been Manchester United, and that just seems like it's inherent and goes throughout generations. I wonder, interested to hear from Liverpool fans right now on 03717 223344. Who do they feel is their rival now, Manchester City or Manchester United? Is that inherent dislike of one another with Manchester United and Liverpool still bigger? For example, like being a North Londoner, the Spurs Arsenal thing. Yeah. We was always hating on them, but they got to a point where it was always Arsenal Man United, and they didn't really care about us anymore.
Yeah. I think if you were a Liverpool fan, I think Manchester United will always be the issue for you. Manchester United will always be the priority. But in terms of rivalry for silverware, in terms of who do you need to take 3 points off, in terms of say 6 pointers at the top of the league, it's the fixture against City, not the fixture against Manchester United, that's going to dictate where the league title goes potentially.
Do you know what's interesting as well? Of course, at the sort of business end of the transfer window, this whole £200 million for Salah coming in from Saudi, etc. How important has Salah been to Liverpool, just in recent times, let alone the last 12 games?
He's just outrageous, isn't he? I think it's got to the stage now with Mohamed Salah where you have to rate him.
One of yours as well, once upon a time?
Yes, I know. Shrewsbury away, when he had a shot and it went out for a corner flag, feels like an awful long time ago. Scored. Do you know what he scored? It's a great quiz question, actually. On Arsene Wenger's 1,000th game in the Premier League, played against Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea won 6-0. It was like a terrible day for Arsene Wenger. Jose Mourinho, Chelsea won 6-0. And one of the goal scorers that day for Chelsea was Mohamed Salah.
Yeah, I actually recall that. I remember seeing that on the old Premier League.
But he's going to go. I think he's going to go down now. I mean, there's no doubt that he goes down as a Premier League great. But I think one of the biggest compliments that you can possibly pay to Mohamed Salah is that I think he now rates as one of Liverpool's greatest ever. And when you think about the history of Liverpool, you're thinking Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush, Robbie Fowler, Fernando Torres,
Suarez.
Luis Suarez. Like, the list goes on and on and on. And I now think if you did an all-time Liverpool 11, it would be very difficult to leave out Mohamed Salah. I think Mohamed Salah. Look, I'm not wise enough on the history to talk about Roger Hunt or Ian St. John. But if I were doing it from my lifetime, I think Mohamed Salah has to be in a Liverpool all-time 11.
Well, Liverpool fans, let us know what you think. Text us 81089. Call us 03717 223344. In terms of the other rivalries that we've talked about over the years, like you said, the Wenger versus Ferguson era, and even go back to the early 90s with Keegan versus Ferguson when they were going at it. Is there much love lost between Pep and Klopp, or is there seems to be a level of mutual respect?
Yeah, I think there's a respect. It doesn't. What it doesn't feel like, which is a shame because I do like it when the rivalries get like this. What it doesn't feel like though is, say, Wenger, Mourinho.
The what was it? The success and failure.
Yeah. You're a specialist in failure.
You're
a specialist and a voyeur. Do you remember Jose Mourinho called him a voyeur, but and a specialist in failure? What it doesn't feel like I think with Mourinho and Wenger then, I think there was genuine antipathy. I think actually, Madge, it's the only time I can ever think of a touchline rivalry actually becoming hands-on.
Yes.
Like they had a fight. That's apart from maybe Tuchel's weird handshake with Antonio Conte, I can't think of any. Like no matter how hostile it got between Keegan and Ferguson or Wenger and Ferguson or whatever.
Joel and Wenger had it once at Highbury.
Did Joel and Wenger?
Yeah, Joel. Imagine big Martin Joel.
Martin Joel would be able to have something.
Listen to me, don't touch me. Don't touch me now, Arshan. I'll go crazy.
But look, Marie, it isn't that. I think there is definitely a begrudging respect for one another.
I think it'd be even more interesting if there was that little bit of spice on top.
Yeah.
So hopefully tomorrow, live and exclusive on talkSPORT, Manchester City against Liverpool. Something will happen in that fixture tomorrow.
It will.
That will kick it off. And then when we get the return leg, it will be even crazier.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.